In this episode, I cross the Queensland border.
We're in the Northern Territory.
Visit a couple of iconic Northern Territorians, cross the border into Western Australia, see the coast on the other side of Oz, and meet up with our Outback trucker.
So far, we've gone about 200 kilometres. It's pretty flat for the most part, but lots of rocky sort of outcrops. The dirt is so red, it's amazing. A really interesting place, especially when you see clouds like these ones that are just so stormy and black and blue kind of looking, and a really contrast with the red of the soil.
With the weather starting to close in, it's time to pick up the pace a bit. Heading into the wet season means hotter temperatures and the possibility of road closures due to flooding. And in this part of Australia, there are a few alternative routes.
This is Banker. Climb to the top of this hill, see if we can get some cell reception, check in with everyone at home, but there's not any even up here. This is about 75 kilometres, I think it was, from three ways, so nice little spot to stop and have a rest for the evening before hopefully heading on to Mataranka tomorrow. It's day 6 today, and we've just headed north on the Stuart Highway. Just passed through Elliot and stopped at this little roadside stop here just for a quick rest. Just passed over the halfway mark, so 2,600 odd kilometres, which is quite an achievement. Tonight we're heading into Mataranka, hopefully, for the night. It would be really lovely to have a swim in the hot water pools there. Not that we need warming up. It's pretty warm outside. So far in the Northern Territory, it seems like the geography has been a little bit more undulating, a bit more interesting from the point of view of not quite so flat. There are more and more flies every day, which is why I'm sitting in the car at the moment recording this. Let's get on with the trip.
A trip through the centre of Australia doesn't seem complete without a stop at the Daily Waters pub, where they like to staple weird stuff to the walls. They do a really great barra burger and a welcome thirst-quenching beer, all overseen by the local chook. Stopping at Mataranka Springs was a must for me. It was quite a busy spot for so late in the season, but I managed to snap a couple of shots while still maintaining other users' privacy. The bats didn't seem to mind though.
Today is day 7. I stayed the night in Mataranka last night. From there we went up to Katherine, the town of Katherine, and got some supplies. Katherine has the first normal sized supermarket since we left Mount Isa, so it's good to go in there and restock. And then from there we turned left and headed out on, I think it's called the Victoria Highway, towards Western Australia. So this is one of the little stops along the way. So far there's quite a lot of evidence of some back burning, so control burning to ensure there's not going to be any bushfires. Couple of bathrooms over there as well. Some of these locations you can actually stop for the 24 hours and have a rest. So a lot of distance between stops. I think we've still got another 150 or so before we get to tonight's stop. So we're doing a couple of short days. Timber Creek we're heading towards. This is probably one of the shadiest campsites we've stayed in so far. It's our last night in the Northern Territory. We're at Timber Creek, so there's a little freshwater creek behind me. Has a resident freshwater crocodile apparently, and in the tourist season, which ended last month, they do crocodile feedings and viewing sessions for the people who stay here. So yeah, interesting spot. So beautiful this morning. All the frangipani blossoms are really quite fragrant, and it's just lovely. It was probably the warmest night so far last night. I think it maybe got down to 26 at a pinch. Not much of a breath of fresh air. She's certainly heating up out there, and they also have a pool, which is always a bonus. on these almost 40-degree days. They seem to have disturbed the bats. The bats have just noticed that we're here.
The Victoria River is the largest body of water I've seen in a long time and seems like an ideal place for a paddle. But these waters are home to the deadly saltwater crocodile. As I cross into Western Australia, I stop for a quarantine check. Western Australia has really strict rules in place to stop the spread of agricultural pests, and no fresh food, seeds or nuts are allowed into the state.
Haven't really gotten that far today. Stopped in Kununurra because it was getting really hot and just sort of feeling overall a bit fatigued, so got a recommendation that this is a great spot to stop, so I thought might have a night in a nice air-conditioned cabin, and that'll set us up for the next couple of days to get us on into Port Hedland. But look at this, it's beautiful. So we'll give the Jeep the afternoon off too. But yeah, nice little deck to sit on here and watch the sunset. Today's day 9. I had a bit of a short day yesterday, stopping in Kununurra in a nice little air-conditioned cabin for the night. Caught up on some sleep. It's been getting pretty hot. Actually, the next couple of days going to get up around the 40, so I'm leaving the area at a good time, I think. So this morning, just south of Kununurra, heading south for the first time, which is really cool. First time on the trip. Finally feel like we're heading in the right direction. So far, today's trip has been through just a continuous beautiful mountain range. Yeah, I guess this is probably the heart of the Kimberley. Yeah, some really stunning scenery this morning on the drive. I of course didn't have the GoPro up and mounted on the windscreen mount, but we came through this really beautiful pass, just the reds, the oranges, the almost purplish colors of the rocks, just absolutely stunning. Bungle turn off to the beautiful Bungle Ranges, about maybe 120 kilometres north of Halls Creek. There's some of these 24-hour rest stops are kitted out with bathrooms, so they are kind of flushing, I guess, toilets. There's like a hand pump thing. More interestingly to me is that they've also got dump points for if you have your own cassette toilet. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere, and yet there are facilities to get rid of waste, which I find fantastic, because one of the challenges we found when we were on our trip around Scotland was there just wasn't that sort of infrastructure, and I just think it's astounding that we're like literally thousands of kilometres away from Perth, and not Perth, Scotland obviously, good 1,500 kilometres from Darwin, literally in the middle of nowhere, and yet they've provided facilities to make things a little bit easier and cleaner for people travelling through with their own bathrooms on board. So well done, Western Australian Government. Tick. I'm halfway between Halls Creek and Fitzroy Crossing. Stopped at Larawa Station and Homestead for the night last night. They've got a little campground in there, which is a really cool option. So you're about 4 kilometres off the highway, so it's quiet as, and oh my gosh, most amazing display of stars so far, I reckon. It was really, really great. All the sunrise and sunset colours in the rock around the station was just absolutely beautiful. It's gotten a bit flatter today, but we just pulled into this little roadside pull off here, and I think it's a 24-hour camp spot. Got some toilets, cassette toilet disposal, but yeah, look at this view, it's amazing. Today's the final day of the trip. I have just left Roebuck Plains Roadhouse, where I stayed the night, and now we're heading south towards Port Hedland. One of the interesting things I've noticed so far is that I really thought that the highway, the Great Northern Highway, would be following the coast, and essentially it does when you look at the map. However, you can't see the coast. It's very flat here, and I think still that we're probably about 5 kilometers away from it. So if there was a couple of little hills, you possibly could see the ocean from here, but yeah, haven't actually seen the west coast, the ocean off the west coast yet, so that's kind of crazy. So let's get going. We have arrived. So that's it, folks. The Indian Ocean, one side of Australia to the other. Next stop, Africa. And now we're off to meet a familiar face. Like we're right on time. Longest trucks in the world. Thanks for keeping me company on my top end road trip. While I didn't get much paddleboarding in, I have some pretty good ideas for places to stop next time round. While you're here, check out some of these other videos. See you next time.